Good news, Raider Nation. The rookies have been impressing the coaches and other veteran players this offseason. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up here on today's show, I'm just going to go through some of my notes from Raiders OTAs, even some of the notes that I had even from back during Raiders rookie minicamp. But we're going to go through all 11 of the players that the Silver and Black drafted. And again, just some notes that I got from some players, some notes that I got from some coaches, and just some of the people that are at Raiders practice. Before I break that all down, if you don't know, I am going to be live 3 more times tomorrow. Then I'm going to be live Monday, and I am going to be live Tuesday. For those that do not know, Tuesday's my final live show before the wedding, so please make sure you guys are pulling up. Friday's going to be a shit show. I'm going to be real. There's a chance my dad might be here for this one. We're going to just try to provide as much content as humanly possible. And again, if you want to tune in and party with us on that final live show before I get married, it's going to be Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure those notifications are turned on. So here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to go through the Raiders rookies, and I'm just going to do it based on when the Raiders drafted them. So obviously starting first here is going to be Ashton Jeanty. And Jeanty continuously is showing that he was the right choice, I would say, for the Las Vegas Raiders. Almost like every time I hear somebody talk about Jeanty, it kind of reminds me of like the old LeBron James MVP discussions where you talk to a lot of those old basketball heads and they were like, honestly, LeBron should have won MVP like 6, 7, 8 straight years. It's just he was so great that you didn't realize his greatness, and it kind of got a little after every single year. For Jeanty, he's shown that he's a leader on and off the football field. The number one word that I'd say I continuously hear is humble, but he's also coachable, which, you kind of saw from the Chip Kelly thing earlier about the stance, which you love to see. When your superstars are humble and they are coachable, then that's trending in the right direction, and it's exactly what JPJ is. It's exactly what Brock Bauer is. Like, that is what this team is trying to do, and he's obviously a special talent. Everything that he does is very effortlessly. One of the other notes, though, that I do have on Jeanty is the Raiders have been using him a lot more than I think what people anticipate in terms of the pass-catching game. I'm not going to sit up here and project Jeanty to be this, guy that's going to go out there and catch 50 to 60 balls. I just think that that's probably like the weakest part of his game right now, also pass protection, and they're just trying to see what they got out of the young guy. Really good, though, stuff here from Jeanty. Let's go to Jack Bech, wide receiver, and you got to talk about fire. You got to talk about competition when you talk about Bech. And when you listen to a lot of the people inside of that room, it sounds like that they have confidence that he is going to be the wide receiver 2, or at least can be the wide receiver 2. I will admit this. The note that I have here at the very, very start of him being a wide receiver 2, this was given to me probably about a week ago. Trey Tucker is continuously reminding people, hey, don't forget about me, man. But what Bech brings is that physicality, and he's going to bring that hard work ethic every single day. And when you think about what Pete Carroll wants to establish here with this new regime, he wants players like this. I'll also say that one of the notes that I've been given very often is that Bech is like this sneaky, athletic type of player, and I'll just say like a Brock Bowers where, again, if you were to look at him, he'd run right by you. If you were to feel him in terms of blocking, giggity, you're going to see how strong he is. And I think when people look at Brock Bowers, they just don't realize how athletic he is. And I'm not saying Bech is Bowers, but that those two are very looked at similar in regards to people who underestimate Bech. And then you go up and play against them. I'll also say that there's been some rumors of some issues with his contract. There's no issues whatsoever with Jack Bech and the Raiders and his contract. Let's go to Darien Porter, the cornerback here for the Silver and Black, and this is another guy that's, not only grabbing the attention of coaches, he's grabbing the attention of a guy like Maxx Crosby. And Crosby doesn't have to talk about players, but when the face of a franchise just does it, then you know for a fact that he is seeing what these guys are doing. For a guy like Porter, he is extremely intelligent, and he is a sponge. There's sometimes when you tell somebody something, you might have to tell it to him a second time. You might have to tell it to him a third time. That's not happening with Porter. When you tell him something, he's picking it up, and he is not only picking it up, he is applying it. And you could tell how smart he is when you just listen to him talk. Glides across the football field. Everything's very easy for him. Just, again, speed. It's simple when you got those long strides. The really good ball skills, you can clearly tell that he was a wide receiver once, and even the way that he runs routes, like with receivers when he's defending them, I've heard a lot of good notes, just like you could tell that he was once a wide receiver. But again, Maxx Crosby is also taking notice. He had this to say on the Raiders rookie corner. On defense, Darien Porter, big cornerback. I will say this, kid, he's been a receiver his whole life. That's the first thing. I'm like, okay, this kid's played receiver. How can you even make that transition? You've got ball skills, and you also have seen guys like Richard Sherman. It makes too much sense in Pete Carroll's pedigree to bring in a guy like this. And I kind of agree with Crosby, where when you really sit down and you watch Darien Porter's game, and then you go back and you look at all the success that Pete Carroll has had with long, lanky cornerbacks, DBs in general, then you can really go, all right, I am not shocked at all that Darien Porter was the pick there for the Raiders at number 68. Let's go to the offensive lineman, Caleb Rogers. And Rogers is some guy that I know I feel like I'm going to eat my words on. And I only say that because he is such a likable dude, and he is one of the prime leaders from the rookies. And I'm not too surprised by that. I had one of the Raiders players tell me that he's got this veteran mindset and just a very mature player where, you know, you sit down and you talk to a lot of these rookies, or you have the opportunity to talk to agents that are involved with rookies, and you could tell that they're young men that are very excited about an opportunity. I'm not saying that Caleb's not excited. He's ecstatic, but when you hear people talk about Caleb Rogers, you're like, are they talking about a 50-year-old guy? But the other thing that he does bring is he brings that proper mindset, and it's not only about going out there and competing. You also have to put that mindset with the right building blocks, I think, for what this team's looking for. The coaches also love his versatility, and his want to be versatile, I think, is very important when you talk about Caleb Rogers. The pinned comment coming up here on today's show is going to be this, and it's going to be an important question. Which Raiders rookie will surprise people the most in 2025? So think about what the expectation is. Which rookie do you think is going to surpass that expectation? Like, you could say Jeanty, but my expectations for Jeanty are already so high. Is he going to pass those? My answer is going to be coming up right here after this YouTube ad break. The rookie that I'm going to start calling maybe the best kept secret in the NFL, his name is Dante Thornton Jr., and I knew that the upside was there. I'm telling you this right now. Keep an eye on Dante Thornton Jr. I think he really could surprise a lot of people for this Raiders organization and the NFL world in general. Let's go to Charles Grant here, the other offensive lineman that the Silver and Black decided to take at the end of round 3. And from what I understand right now, Grant is doing a good job handling the adjustment, let's call it, from going from William and Mary to the NFL. That wingspan, it is very, very noticeable at practice, 7-foot wingspan. I will say this, I was told that he needs to put on a little bit more muscle. He needs to put on a little bit more strength. That's going to come with time. But you got to give him credit. He's going out there. He's competing at a very, very high level. And when you come from a smaller school, I think you want to be able to show these players that, hey, I belong here. And it's obvious. Grant has the athletic ability to belong here. But based on some of the notes that I've received, we could be looking at Charles Grant as being a player that we rely on, or I think he could be a player where, I don't want to bring up Brandon Parker's name all the time, but I think like we could talk about Grant as being Brandon Parker if he doesn't ever really fully put it together. Hoping that he does, but so far he is handling the competition and the jump up to the NFL well. Let's go to wide receiver Dante Thornton Jr., and I don't know if I could say enough good things about this guy right here. And, you know, I've had the opportunity to talk to him. I've had the opportunity to talk to his agent, both outstanding human beings. But he is truly a freak athlete. Like, if you want to talk about an alien on a football field, Dante Thornton Jr. is an alien. If you were to make a player create a player on Madden at wide receiver, you're going to make him 6'5", you're going to make him 210 pounds, and you're going to allow him to run 4.340. I did have a source tell me that Thornton is so comfortable in his own skin, and you can clearly see it. Guy's always smiling, very, very confident player, but when you have somebody that's comfortable being them, then that, I think, also can translate onto a football field. I'll also say this. I had one of the Raiders players tell me that his route tree is a lot better than what people actually think. And when you go back and watch some of his tape at Oregon, you can see that he runs a lot more of a route tree than initially expected. Here's also what Maxx Crosby had to say about Dante Thornton Jr. I covered this earlier in the Raiders Report video earlier this week. But again, Maxx is taking notice. Dante Thornton, the dude we drafted from Tennessee, the big receiver, 6'4", another freak. I think he might be 6'5". He reminds me of Martavis Bryant. He even looks like him. He's tall, skinny, wears number 10. He's got the grills in. He's got the dreads. The way he runs, the way he catches the ball. He reminds me of Martavis, and it's crazy because a kid like that hasn't hit his full potential yet. Seeing him on the field and realizing what he can be from a player perspective is like, holy shit, this guy could be something serious. And I agree. I really do think that he could be something serious because guys like this don't grow on trees. And if all he is a decoy, damn it, he's going to be a hell of a decoy because you have to respect the speed. If he is able to put it together, look out because you can't teach the type of athlete that Dante Thornton Jr. is. And again, he is a really, really good human being. Before we get into some more of the good news and more of the notes that I have here on some of these Raiders rookies, if you don't know, tomorrow, final day to enter, technically today while I'm recording, Friday, May 30th, $5 Super Chat in for a chance to win an Ashton Jeanty jersey. Or if you're unable to join us live, it is a $5 Super Thanks in order to be entered. When we are live on Friday, May 30th, at the very end of the show, we're going to show up a wheel, and everybody's going to have an opportunity to get a Jeanty jersey. If you're like, Mitch, I have no idea how to send in a Super Thanks. Don't worry, I got you covered. If you're on your cell phone, it's going to look like this. You click this button right here, then you're in for the Super Thanks. If you are on your laptop, your desktop, then you're going to click those three little buttons over there. It's going to give you a drop-down menu, and you click on the Super Thanks button right there. Bottom line is this. If you don't play, you cannot win, and I'm excited to be able to give away another Jeanty jersey. I think at this point since the NFL draft, we've given away probably close to 30 of them, which is a wild thing to say. Let's go to the next rookie here at defensive tackle. It's going to be Tonka Hemingway. And for the two defensive tackles, I'll be honest, I probably got the least amount of notes on those two players. I was told that he's doing a lot of things, well, that coaches can work with just because he is a little bit of that tweener prospect. Was told that he's got a really good head on his shoulders, and you could tell that he was brought up the right way. Explosive first step. I don't think people, when they see somebody big, they don't expect them to move the way that some of these guys move, and Hemingway is a much better athlete than I originally first saw / scouted, if you will, when I looked at some of these players very, very early on in the draft process. But he's got some of this untapped athletic ability, and I'm happy that he's working with Rob Leonard. Let's go to J.J. Pegues, defensive tackle, and this is another one of these players that always happy. And I love the fact that we got a bunch of guys that love football, always smiling, and he's willing to do whatever the coaches ask of him to do. You want him to line up at DN, you want him to line up at DT, you want him to run with the football. Pegues is down to do whatever the coaches want him to do, and that's the type of player you want in the 6th round. I'll also say this. From what I gather, he doesn't seem like he's a very fast player, but he's got an insanely quick step, at least for those first 2 to 3 steps that he gets going. But if you can continue to pile on and get better and better, which I think that Pegues can do, but having that first quick and having that really good first step is probably one of the reasons why he was used as a running back often at Ole Miss. Let's go to Tommy Mellott here at wide receiver, and very raw type of player right now is how I would say it, and they're trying to mold him and do a good slot receiver. He is quickly learning how to be a player in the NFL. Dude is just a great football player, and it's why Montana State ultimately made him a quarterback. They're like, this is the best player that maybe has ever come through Montana State. How do we put the football in his hands more often than not? And when the ball's in his hands, he makes people miss. I mean, I'm telling you this right now. Probably 2 weeks ago, at a practice, I'm not going to say which player it was, but Mellott fully embarrassed a NFL cornerback, put him on his back. When you see a guy coming down the lane in a basketball game, they cross up and the guy falls back. Mellott's doing that, or did that, to a player that some people think might get some playing time, for the Raiders. But in that first 10 yards, he's having a lot of success. I think he's got to learn how to be a receiver and continue to build that route tree. But in that 5 to 10 yards, he's really hard to cover, and he's making some people look like they're on ice. But again, he's a much better athlete than what you realize. He's got to learn how to catch with his hands a little bit better, still catch him with his body, but he's learning how to be a receiver, which is what you're hoping that ends up happening. If you guys do not know where I'm at, I am on social media at Mitchell Renz 365, and I only say that because I want people in the offseason to hit me up, follow me, Twitter, Instagram. You want to see how my wedding was? Hey, this is where I'm going to be posting it. I want you guys to get to know me because I think when you get to know me better, it just makes this whole thing a lot better overall. Also, for duck races, you need to hit me up, add me as a friend on Venmo. But the other biggest reason why I love social media is because I get the opportunity to get cool pictures like this. So huge, huge shout out to Bridget Rivera. She's always down in the chat, and she told me a really amazing story how her husband and her watch the Raiders report, and when her husband's not home and I don't give her a shout out in the comments, he's like, were you watching? I thought you were going to watch. Like, that's a real one right there. That's a real one family as far as I'm concerned. So from Bridget Rivera to the entire Rivera family, I just want to say thank you so much for watching the show. But again, this is why I love when people hit me up on social media, because I get to see behind the curtain a little bit. I get to put faces to names. And when I do this, and it might be a weird thing, but when you do what I do for work, when you can put faces to names, it's probably one of the coolest things out there. So huge shout out there to the Rivera family. Let's go to Cam Miller here at quarterback. And I actually have a lot of talking points on Cam Miller. He's probably one of the players that I have more of the notes on, and he's a good leader. You could tell that he was a captain at North Dakota State, and there is some times where, leaders are born and then leaders are made. I do think that Miller was born a leader and just got more experience being the guy that was the face of a franchise at North Dakota State. And, that can't be minimized, right? Where North Dakota State is like Alabama of the FCS. And for people that don't know, I got some family that live up there in Fargo, and Miller was a rock star. He was a true rock star. And to be able to handle that program and the weight of that program on his shoulders, you could tell that he is taking that and he's already a pro's pro where, we talk about Aiden O'Connell, and I think Cam Miller and Aiden, it's almost a perfect duo to kind of go up against each other this offseason. Very technically sound as a rookie. I'll be real. I don't really think that there's a lot of upside here with Miller, but if you're looking for a quarterback that can go out there and just really do the X's and O's, execute an offense, Miller's going to be able to do that. Lightning quick release. I was told that he might have the quickest release on this Raiders team, and he is a much better of an athlete than what you realize. Here's what John Spytek said about what Tom Brady had to say about Cam Miller this offseason. He liked the way he threw it, his technique throwing from the ground up, and his motion, and he thought he had the potential to improve. I agree that Cam Miller has the potential to improve. I don't think it's sky-high improvement ability, but when you see that he is so technically sound, you could tell that he really takes his craft seriously. And when you're coming from a small school, you need to be able to dot your I's and cross your T's, or else guys aren't going to take you serious. And the Raiders got one who really puts in the time, he puts in the effort, and you could tell he's going to pick up this playbook very quickly. Let's go to the final player here, and it's going to be Cody Lindenberg, 7th-round pick linebacker from Minnesota. Lindenberg, I'll be very transparent. I've gotten to know the Lindenberg family, let's call it. They watch the Raiders report. They love the content that we provide. There is room, though, for him to grow into his body still, which is one of the things I was told from somebody inside of that building. I was also told that this is going to be a player that wants it more than you do, and that's kind of his mentality where you're not going to outwork me, you're not going to out-physical me. If it's me against you, I'm going to win every single time. And I think that's the mentality you need to have as a 7th rounder. Personally, I think Lindenberg's going to have a little bit more of an opportunity to shine on special teams this season, but he is a very, very smart football player, and whatever they are asking him to do, he's saying yes. So for that, I respect Lindenberg a lot, and I'm hoping that he continues to grow into a great young player that he is. So in conclusion, these Raiders rookies, they're embracing the compete mentality, and they've been impressing this offseason, which is important because they are expected to go out there and compete. They're expected to go out there and contribute right away. And if you're a Raiders fan and you know some of the struggles that we've had in some drafts, I feel very confident about this regime, and I feel very confident about the 11 players that the Las Vegas Raiders drafted in 2025.